Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys this really simple technique with tie-dye using alcohol inks. As always, I'll make sure to put everything that I used today into the description box below so that you guys can shop those items if you would like to. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. I'm starting out today on a 20-ounce modern curved tumbler that I purchased through the Stainless Depot, but of course you can use any type of tumbler you already have on hand to do this project. I've already prepped my tumbler and I painted it white because I'm going to be doing a white glitter base onto it today. I'm using my favorite white, which is Pinnacle. I didn't purchase that. I made that through my glitter shop, socglitters.com, if you guys want to check it out. If not, just use what you already have on hand. Now I'm using the epoxy method to apply my glitters. I'm just going to apply a very thin coat of that epoxy. I'm going to load up my glitter really well. Then I'm just going to stand that up and let it cure because I'm using my quick set epoxy from Alumilite. I let that cure probably for about 4 hours or so, if not shorter than that, because this doesn't really need to dry that long to add a second coat of epoxy. So I just let that set up probably for 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to apply another coat of epoxy over top of this. I'm going to make sure that it's a nice smooth coverage over top of that. I'm going to let that cure the proper amount of time. You don't want it sticky at all. And move on to this next step. And then we will be ready to apply our alcohol ink tie-dye swirl to it. Now here she is all ready for that tie-dye look. She's nice and smooth and she is ready to be all jazzed up with our inks here. Now I'm using my Christy Taylor alcohol inks, which I'll put that shop into the description below for you guys if you'd like to shop those items. I'm doing a red, white, and blue theme for my tie-dye, but obviously you can use any type of colors you would like to do onto this tumbler. What I personally like to do whenever I can't come up with color schemes that I would like is, especially for the tie-dye look, all you have to do is do a simple search for tie-dye, and that gives you lots of inspiration for colors if you would like. Now the brushes, as you can see here, are round brushes, and those are size 8. And I got them in a giant pack. I think 12 of them came in a pack, and they were pretty cheap. They were only about $4. And I got those at Michael's, I do believe. But if I can find it, I'll make sure to put that into the description box below as well. Now, I used to use a plate just to put my alcohol inks on, but then, I went and fancied it up, and I went to the Dollar Tree, and I got myself one of these little alcohol or paint trays. It was just $1, so I don't have my fancy plate anymore. So make sure you always check the Dollar Tree. You never know what you're going to find for crafting supplies. Now, because I am doing a red, white, and blue theme, I'm going to start with my blue first. And as you've seen there on my brush, I didn't load too much onto my brush because this round is pretty much we're just going to make a very thin coating of our inks just to kind of outline everything. And then we're going to come through in the very end, and that's when we really start to make it look more like tie-dye. But as you can see, the inks just really bleed out, and you just want to make these brush strokes, and you just want to do a circular motion or any type of pattern of your tie-dye that you would like to do. I know there's lots of different patterns of tie-dye as well, but it's basically the same concept. You're just going to come in, you're going to start making your brush strokes where you want to start, and then you just keep going around your tumbler completely. Now, if you don't feel comfortable freehanding it like I am here, you are more than welcome to go ahead and take that brush and start your swirl, and then just go based off of that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. If you don't feel comfortable just kind of doing it like I am, please do that. And the great thing with this is if you don't like it, just wipe it off. Use your 99% rubbing alcohol and just wipe it off. And then you can start over again. It's not a big deal, guys. I know you got this. It is so simple. Now, I did speed this portion up just a little bit, but I really feel like this is the whole concept of this tumbler, and I really feel like you guys really need to make sure you see the entire outline that I do first, so that way you guys kind of get the basic concept of this. Now, as you can see, that kind of stops at the tumbler up there, but that's not a big deal. I'm just going to pick up and I'm going to carry over to the other side And I'll go over that one more time here in a minute after I get done completely, just so that way you guys can kind of see exactly what I did. And again, we are just making sure that this is just a very light outline of our stuff here, and then we're going to come back through and jazz it up even more. Now on the front, you want to make sure that you keep it in that circular motion, but when we get to the bottom, I'm going to do a little half circle here, and then I'm going to continue it on to the very back, and that completely finishes up my first outline here, and that's about how it should look once you are done. And then as you've seen there, as I brought it around the front, I made sure to continue on with that circle motion around the rest of that look there. And now I'm going to come back through. I'm going to kind of show you guys exactly what I did. So I started off in the middle, I swirled it around, and then when I got to this point, I hopped it over. I made sure there was still the same amount of a gap all the way around. I hopped it over. I brought that circle, continued that circle all the way to the bottom, did a little half circle to kind of tidy it up there, and then brought it all the way around the back. And again, keeping in that circular motion whenever it's on the main base of your tumbler. Now that we have our main line down, I'm just going to come through and just do some extensions of this blue right off of it, just kind of out into it, because you guys look at tie-dye, it's not perfect. And that's another wonderful thing about tie-dye, is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's supposed to look abstract. It's supposed to look unique. So you just want to try to keep it all on the outside of those lines there. As you can see, I'm just going completely around. I'm just following that line that I did all the way around on the outer side of my lines here, and just kind of adding those extra strokes coming off of it completely around until I get all the way up to the other side. And then of course, once we finish this up, we are going to move on to our red. Now the great thing about alcohol inks is they dry very fast. Pretty much if you don't layer it up too thick, it pretty much dries instantaneously, so it's okay to touch. Every now and again, I did kind of set it off to the side just to make sure that I didn't rub any colors anywhere where they shouldn't be, but other than that, they should dry pretty quick for you. Now, because I bought such a big pack of these brushes, I'm going to use a separate brush for my red, but if you only have one brush, just use your rubbing alcohol to clean off your brush really well, and then you can move on to your next color. Now, as you can see, I chose to make that red right on the inside of my blue, so I'm just going to follow that swirl all the way around with my red, doing the same exact thing. We're just doing a basic outline of it now, and then we'll come back through and jazz it up in a little bit. Now, since I am only doing pretty much 2 ink colors, and then I'm leaving the rest of it the white base, this is all I'm going to be doing for my colors. But if you're going to be adding a third color, you can more than do another color right along that white line there that you see there if you would like to, or if you wanted to add even more colors than that, it's totally up to you. Wherever your imagination takes you, let it take you there. Now I am just trying to make sure that I leave the same amount of white all the way around, but if you don't, it's okay, because again, tie-dye isn't perfect. Like I always say, there is no right or wrong when it comes to making art. Now, once I am done with my main red lines here, I'm going to come through, I'm going to do just like I did with the blue. I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to make those longer streaks, just like we did with the blue, just kind of connecting everything together and making everything a little bit more uniform and kind of like how you would see when you look at tie-dye. Now, once I have those lines about where I'd like them, now it's completely up to you as to if you'd like to finish up your coloring on the back or leave it kind of open with the whatever glitter base you put onto your tumbler. It's completely up to you, but I wanted to go ahead and finish it up with my red here. You could leave that open with the white just for a name or whatever you would like to do, but that's completely up to you. As you can see, I'm just making sure that those lines are in the same direction as everything else, and I just can kind of continue that all the way up and down, and I add just a little bit up onto the bottom as well, just to kind of make sure that everything is nice and connected and looks uniform. Make sure I add some little extra lines coming off of it, and that's all you want to do. Okay, now we have our outline pretty much done. Now is the time that we come back through and we darken up those colors and we make it look even more like tie-dye. As you can see, when I first started, I only did a little bit of my color on my brush. Now I am very much saturating my brush, very much saturating. You guys know what I mean. You want to saturate your bristles really well with your inks there. Not to the point that it's going to drip all over the place when you add it to your tumbler, but just enough to where when you add those extra little strokes, it's going to make it look just like that. Now I am starting with my red. It's completely up to you on what you want to start with, but I'm going to start with my red and I'm going to end with my blue this round. And as you can see, I'm not doing it completely around. I'm just choosing patches of where I would like this red to be. Now I know typically people probably want to add some rubbing alcohol to their inks and everything like that to kind of make them last a little bit longer. But I like just a very saturated ink look on this portion of it. So you don't want to water your inks down anything with rubbing alcohol. You want it to stay nice and vibrant. So that's exactly why I'm just using my inks and not mixed with my rubbing alcohol or anything like that. Another thing I really like about using the alcohol inks as opposed to your acrylic paints and stuff like that is you can really make it look like tie-dye when you do it this way, because the inks kind of bleed a little bit and they kind of blend together, making it look even more like tie-dye. Once you have your red base all put down, then we'll be ready to move on to that blue color or your second color that you're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side, and I'm going to load up just a little bit more in my tray. Now I've only used I probably put a little bit of ink into that tray probably 3 times now. So you're really not using that much ink when you go to do this, which is really nice as well. All right, so since this is my last color, now's the time I'm going to come in and I'm going to kind of fix up my center spiral here. As you can see, I'm just going to bring it up, kind of bring it up into the middle, just continuing it, making it look like a swirl in the center there. That's how you want to fix it up. And everything's just kind of bleed together. And then you're just going to continue on just like we did with the red. You want to saturate your brush really good, and you just want to make sure that you come through and just add those extra little brush strokes to really make it look like that tie-dye look. Now, it is just about blending. This process, all in all, took me about 20 minutes. That's all it took me. So it is an extremely easy process. You don't want to overthink it too much. You just want to do your lines, make it blend together really well, and then it is good to go. Once you have those lines blended, you can always come back through with your other colors just to kind of touch up any little areas that you may need to. I noticed on my bottom here, I needed to just kind of touch up some stuff here and there. So I did to kind of take my rubbing alcohol and spritz it into my tray just to kind of make my inks last a little bit more. And there we go. Now it is ready for its coat of epoxy. So you can let your tumbler set overnight to let your inks kind of dry, or you can just throw your epoxy right over top of it if you're just crazy like that. But I'm going to go ahead and add a nice spritzing of my 2x Ultra Seal by Rust-Oleum because I just don't want to mess anything up. I'm too nervous. I have my epoxy here. I added just a touch of shooting stars, again, from my glitter shop because I just wanted a little bit extra in there, but that's completely optional. I'm going to hit it up really good with my torch to make sure I get any of those micro bubbles. I'm going to give it 2 more finishing coats of epoxy after that, and she is good to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.